Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Ed's World, where it's always morning, even in the afternoon. Those of you who are just joining and watch Contemporary this morning know that I had a little surprise coming on here for the day, so hope you all enjoy that. I hope you're not too surprised by that. This is Ed's World, of course. I'm joined today by returning guest and probably one of my favorite people to interview, Harvey McCloud. Harvey, welcome to Ed's World.
Hi, thank you for having me again.
Yeah, thanks for coming back and working the news with me. I know it was probably on a little bit of short notice, but I know everything else going on with the 12-hour stream, which thank everybody who came out and donated to that. We got over $500, which we all saw when Steven wrote the song, and we still have more pouring in. So the link is still in the description below or above if you're on Facebook. Go over there and check that out and throw a few bucks over to first responders before we move into the next charity that is going to come with the southern states that just happened last night. I don't have that in the itinerary, but did you see any of that?
What's going on?
Oh, a series of EF5 and EF4 tornadoes ripped across the south last night.
Oh, geez, well, that happens all the time.
Yeah, this was pretty bad, though. So I know we lost 16 dead across it. The storm system turned around at Georgia and went up the eastern seaboard. They were all on tornado watch all day today. But yeah, there was a lot of damage, including one police officer whose final act was to try and protect his wife. Now, they did both passed away, but they found him on her trying to shield her from the debris. So God rest his soul.
Wow. God rest his soul.
There'll probably be more details on Ed's World next week. So, but yeah, that is just rolling in. That's still mostly breaking right now. So.
Oh my goodness. You know, I lived through a tornado 20 years ago. That was an EF3 that tore through my neighborhood.
It was probably close to 30 for me at this 28 years ago for me.
Oh yeah?
You're not even 28 years old, are you?
Me? I'm 29.
Oh. I thought you were younger than that for whatever reason. Yeah, and
I wish.
in 92, in my little hometown, which I'm probably doxing myself by saying that, there was a pretty massive tornado that tore up the entire town, which, given the fact that it was 450 people, didn't take much, but yeah, I think every building in the town got a little bit of damage off of that one, including our house. So, and for whatever reason, I was being babysat by the neighbors at the time because I was like 8. They decided the better place than our house, our brick house with the basement in it, would be over next door at their house that didn't have a basement in it, and most of the floor tore up.
Interesting.
So I actually got to watch the whole thing happen too.
Oh my gosh, no, I didn't watch it. I was in my bathtub, like scared crap. And then I had PTSD of thunderstorms forever, which was not a good thing in Texas.
Yeah, I actually had quite a bit of that too for a long time, and tornadoes aren't that common in Wisconsin, but still, every time I heard thunder, it was, oh, is this going to happen?
Yeah, and the tornado watches are a normal thing back at home. Like there would be a tornado watch every spring, and you don't really pay too much attention to them because all it means is conditions are right. But I'm like, it's Texas. Conditions are always right.
Does it get? Because I always thought you needed a lot of humidity for that, and I didn't realize there was a lot of humidity in Texas.
Oh yeah, a lot of humidity coming in from the Gulf of Mexico. But I grew up in Arlington, where it's not as bad, but you get like further south to the coast, it's horrible.
Yeah, because I figured it was going to be like Arizona, where it's a dry heat.
Also, in that tornado alley, you have the cold weather from the north and the warm weather from the coast, and they all come in. When they collide, that's where you get the circular motion.
Okay, I'm going to check Texas off as a place I don't want to live.
Oh, it's the best.
Nah, it doesn't get cold enough down there for me.
It snows.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
It does. Anyway, this is Ed's World. We are streaming live right now to YouTube, DLive, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, though, make sure you go over and get into the YouTube, DLive, or Twitch link because that's the only way we can see you in the live chat. And we do absolutely want to talk to you. And make sure you like and subscribe on all those platforms. Or if you can't catch us live, you can catch us on demand on YouTube or BitChute.com as well. Go and check us out over there. Otherwise, you can find us on demand on the audio platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. And if you're on iTunes, make sure you leave us that 5-star rating and a good review. That always helps us move up the charts. Lastly, make sure you go over there and check out the Freedom Scoop Media Group. where we have all of our creators on board and on deck ready to go, including the fundraiser that we just talked about a bit earlier that we made up for first responders. So go check that out. Check out our replays of our 12-hour live stream that we did last week, where Harvey was a brief guest on the screen for that as well. So it was a lot of fun. We got to see a song get written right on the air and performed for the first time after being written only an hour before. So that was a pretty cool experience, and I was able to pick it up too, because this is part of the reason we're using Zoom right now. Is Discord decided that it wants to suck all the CPU in its newest iteration. I noticed that.
I know, me too. That update sucks.
Yeah, it's pretty shady. But we do have a pretty full load to go over today. Of course, the COVID has dominated the news, and we're going to be checking out some of the latest news stories about that, including the fact that everything seems to be getting just a little bit more draconian as we go along. But we'll talk about Barr calling out the World Health Organization, the current case counts that we have, the war on chloroquine, and so much more going on with there. 2020 is in full swing, and we now have a presumptive nominee. So we'll talk a bit about Bernie's dropout, his fans rushing to justify Biden's possible running mates, and a possible connection to why Bernie stayed in so long with the Wisconsin election that happened last Tuesday after we were off this show. There was a shootout on the border. A smuggler posing as a construction worker shot back with Border Patrol agents. We'll talk a bit about that. Alyssa Milano has come out vocally begging for due process for Joe Biden and decided to jump on the gun control bandwagon again. I've got a couple videos that we're going to watch about that, so stay tuned for that. Finally, California, both Gavin Newsom and Yes California are both hinting at the fact that it might be time for California to declare its independence. The Sacramento Bee, of course, rejects the idea, but we'll talk a bit about what's going on there with an actual Californian on top of that. It is going to be all of that and more over on Ed's World. But before we get into any of this, and before we check the live chat for the first time, the most important part of the show is always to find out more about the guests. So, Harvey, tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a Californian by marriage, to be fair. I'm from Texas, and I moved to California. And then I was in Las Vegas, and I consider myself a Nevadan or Californian any day. But, my name is Harvey McCloud. I live in Silicon Valley. I've been into the quarantine for about 3 weeks now. They won't let me go into the office even if I wanted to. And I can't go to BJ's to have a nice burger and a beer. I'm on day 22 of my 30-day alcohol sobriety, so that's fun. But other than that, I'm just the same as I've always been. I'm here to play games for you. Ta-da.
Well, one of the things that I always wonder here, and I know that you were on a podcast of your own for a while, but you've been in the alternative media for a little while, either by video games or by the podcast realm. But how did you get into each one of those?
Well, back when I first started working at home, because I was a remote worker, I was just looking up for stuff on YouTube to watch, and wasn't even really looking for news or anything like that. But I came across Ben Shapiro, a snippet of one of his podcasts, and I liked what I heard. So I started listening to him a little bit more, and then I started branching out to other podcast people, and now I've just been hooked. Listen to it every day if I can.
And on the video game side of things, because that's what you're most known for at this point.
I guess so, yeah. Well, I wasn't really a gamer, per se, whenever I was a little kid. I didn't start getting really into video games until I was about 12. And I tested positive for being allergic to everything airborne in Texas. So I couldn't go outside anymore because my allergies were too severe. So I stayed inside and started playing video games to pass the time because everybody else was outside and I couldn't go outside. They've been a great companion ever since.
And the link for Harvey's Twitch stream is linked in the description below, so make sure you go and check her out. It's always fun to watch her play games. She's always fun to listen to, and she's got some really fun near swears too. I always enjoy watching the streams. I actually just went back and you got my Amazon Prime sub again. I did that right before we went live.
Oh, thank you so much.
So enjoy that. But we're going to check with the live chat here, and we're going to head on into the news. So Ron Helton is over on D-Live with the sticker party. As per usual, if you're not on D-Live, go over and check that out. You'll get to see stickers that you can't see on any other platform. And we are going to pop the chest from this past weekend's live stream, the 12-hour event, and it's pretty loaded because we had a bunch of chat going on there. So go and check that out and get some of your awards from D Live over there. We have John from the Generational Gap says, "Heyo," and he says, "I need the beard back." Yeah, it's going to grow back in softer. It'll come back.
It'll come back.
I just do this. I usually do this every 3 or 4 months just to make sure that it stays soft, but it's been 6 months at this point, so it was
Well,
just
it's actually not a beard. It's just a flesh-colored tattoo all over his chin.
Ron says, "Hey, John, shave your toes." Jake from Freedom Scoop is over here. Says, "John, do you have hobbit feet?" Jake is actually not from Freedom Scoop anymore, but he does do a lot of help over there still, so we'll still let him say Freedom Scoop. And John says, "Not really." So we're going to get into the news at this point here. So, as per usual, as per everybody else's stream at this point, we're going to start with talking about COVID. And I've got the current caseload pulled up over here. So it looks like worldwide we are confirmed at 1,912,000 cases, almost 913,000 cases, 448,000 recoveries, 118,966 deaths. So this seems
How many deaths?
118,966.
Jeez.
Well, that's
I don't know
worldwide.
if I believe that.
That's worldwide.
I don't know. I still don't know if I believe that.
With 7 billion people?
I don't believe it's that high, no. Because if I've been hearing some shady things going on about people being marked as dying from the COVID if they died and they tested positive for it after the fact, even if they died from something else.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about that?
Yeah, actually, Matt Christensen did a full solo video on that. I watched that. Was really interesting to see. And, I mean, he's absolutely right. I don't think it's going as extreme as some of the memes going around where skydiver, rather, loses his parachute and dies from COVID.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that extreme, but I mean, I've said the same thing, too. I said, okay, well, if some furloughed worker goes out there and blows his brains out because he can't feed his family anymore because he's depressed, he's going to be counted as a COVID death.
Oh, see? Exactly. That's why I don't know if I believe that. But there's a lot of things I'm not believing right now, but go on.
So in our country, stateside, we are at 585,909 confirmed cases, 43,593 recoveries, 23,577 deaths. Of course, take that as you will with the exact same thing that we were just saying. And surprisingly, China is up there with 82,160 confirmed cases, 77,663 recovered, and only 3,341 deaths in a country that is 9 times the size of the United States. And where all this originated as well. So what do you have to say on the caseload other than what we've already gone into?
It still doesn't seem as bad as the flu as far as the numbers go. I don't know about the symptoms and what it can possibly mutate into. You know, a lot of people comparing it to the flu. And a lot of people saying we should have done something a lot sooner as far as curbing all of this. And I try and tell people, well, that's what we're doing now, because right now it's still not as bad as the flu, but we're going hard with this isolation, the social distancing. We're doing that now because we don't know what it can turn into. Doesn't matter how far back you would have done something about it.
Yeah, and I mean, from what I've seen out of the White House, and of course, just watching the news, you would have thought that nothing was going on off of this. But, I mean, for the most part, a lot of this was starting to go on during the State of the Union. I remember Trump had mentioned something in the State of the Union. And even during the impeachment hearings, he was already worried about this, making a task force, getting ready for all of this. And that was back in January.